Good morning. Buenos dias. Bonsoir. Or bon something. I think it's bonsoir. Or is it bon matin? It's one of those, you guys. It's one of those. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. Welcome to, what's today? What is today, you guys? Today is Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, you guys. And I just want to say good morning. I want to say good morning. Let's turn on the radio here. Let's turn on the radio. I'm just here to say good morning. I'm here to say good morning and welcome you to A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. Today is Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. Time is a ticking. Time is a ticking. What are you doing today? What are you doing today? Have you had your breakfast yet? I hope so. By now you should have had breakfast. Or are you just getting up? What are you into? What are you guys doing? What's going on with you guys? I'm just getting up. I had some water. I did some stretching. And I gave thanks. I did my morning routine. And I'm here with you guys now. So I am here to simply say that emotions are human. Leadership is emotional. So why not lead with emotional intelligence? That's all I'm here to say. In a nutshell, that's what I'm here to say. So our conversation today is talking about that emotion they call fear. But before we get there, I have a quote for you guys. The quote says, "Your fear may have a voice, but it doesn't have to have the final say." Woo! That's what we're going with this morning. Your fear may have a voice, but it doesn't have to have the final say. So welcome everyone. Thank you for stopping by, whether you're here live or you're here watching the recording. I thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. So today we're talking about that fear they call emotion, or that emotion they call fear, I should say. And how we want to start this conversation today. You know, that emotion called fear, there's not one person on this earth that I know. You guys let me know if you know. Because we are live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook, and we're live on LinkedIn, and we're live on TikTok. Hi, you guys on TikTok. I'm usually here on Thursdays, but you know, I decided to bring you guys in on TikTok for my weekly lives on A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. So here we talk about all things emotional intelligence, all things workplace issues that seem to never go away, right? Because of my 15 plus years of human resources experience, I'm bringing it to the forefront and giving it to you guys raw on how you can survive this thing called life, or this thing called life in a 9 to 5. And I say that because, you know, I started, answering phones. I started at Burger King. And then, with my amazingness, and because God is good all the time, say it with me, you guys. God is good. Come on. You guys here with me this morning. Be here with me. So I ended up all the way to head of HR, Chief Human Resources Officer. And I decided to leave my 9 to 5, for those that don't know. And it's going on 2 years, going on 3 years. It's one of those numbers, you guys. I can't keep up. I can't keep up. So I wanted to come in here today and talk about that emotion we call fear, right? And it's, we call, there's nobody that I know, nobody on earth that I know that hasn't experienced that in one way, shape, or form, right? And it shows up in all kinds of ways, right? It shows up dressed as a lot of different things. And that can be anything from overthinking. That's me. It shows up in procrastination. Also me. Perfectionism. Am I talking to myself this morning? God diggity dang. Am I talking to myself this morning? It shows up in people pleasing. I know that one as well. It shows up in stress. It shows up in burnout. It shows up in that gosh darn hustle culture. Hustle culture that seems to never end. Oh my goodness. So this week's on A Glimpse of Growth, we're going to peel back some of those layers. We're going to talk about it just a little bit. Not for a long time, because I'm usually here for about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. When I have a guest, is usually an hour or so. But today, it's going to be a short time. This is going to be a good time. So your growth depends on your honesty. Your growth to recognize that fear depends on your honesty. And if you're not honest with yourself, then who can you be honest with? If you're not honest with yourself, who in the world can you be honest with? I mean, you guys tell me. Your growth from one point to another, as you grow as a human being, as you get older, as you get wiser, I'm saying these days, it depends on you being honest with yourself. And that means that you would have to be honest with yourself. Truly be honest. Not only accept the beauty parts, the pretty parts, but accept the parts that are you don't want to tell anybody. You don't want anybody to know. Accept those parts as well. So when I decided to leave my 9 to 5 as Chief Human Resources Officer in the workplace, that fear showed up. When I decided that it was time for me to leave a relationship that wasn't helping me anymore, that fear showed up. When it was time for me to decide what was going to be my next step in life, fear showed up again. When it was time for me to decide, am I ready to have a baby? Fear showed up again. When it was time for me to decide, do I want to go back to school? Do I want to finish what I started? Fear showed up again. As you guys can see, fear ain't going nowhere. And you can think about that in your own life, right? So the first step is We have all have had or have fear in one way, shape, or form. But we also have dreams. We also have dreams. And that space in between is growth. That space in between fear and our dreams is growth. So the first step is we have to unpack exactly what that fear is. We have to name it. We have to call it by its name. Fear of what? What are you fearful of? There's nobody on this earth that can say that they don't fear anything. If they did, they are not telling the truth. They're not telling the truth. Fear of rejection, being rejected by a loved one, being rejected by a girl, being rejected by a guy. Fear of failure, we all know that one very well. What if I'm not good enough? Fear of rejection. What if they don't accept me? What if they don't want me? Fear of success. What if I can't sustain this? What if I get there and they see that I'm a fraud? Because I don't have that certification. Because I don't have that degree. Fear of being seen. What if they really knew who I was? What if they found out that what I did? Fear of not belonging. Where do I fit in? Fear of abandonment. What if they leave me? Fear of change. Fear of disappointment. Fear of being judged. That used to be me. Fear of wasting time. I'm too old. Am I too late? Do I need to start over? What are your fears? You got to name it. If you don't name it, remember we said in the beginning of this conversation, you need to be real and honest with yourself. If you're not real and honest with yourself, who can you be real and honest with? Who? Fear of starting over? What if I have to start over? What if I have to rebuild again? If I leave this job, I've been here for like 20 years. I have to go somewhere else and do something else and try to prove myself to someone else. Fear of being alone. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being too much. Fear of outgrowing people. That used to be me. Fear of losing control. Have you lost control recently? Have you lost control, meaning of your emotions with someone? Did you blow up on them about something that you kind of regret right now? Fear of being forgotten. These are all real fears that people hide, that people pretend, that people shove in the back of their head and pretend that they're not there. But they're there. And they come up every single day, every single time. Every time. They don't go anywhere. They're with us. So the title of our conversation today is that emotion they call fear. And I added and put there that it's killing you softly. But without fear, you would know what you're fearful of. Do you even need it? Do you need fear? Some would say, heck no. Dr. Dale, heck no. Some would say, you do. So you need to first step of getting over or getting close to owning that fear is labeling it. What is it that you're fearful of? Name it. Okay. Once you name it, now I invite you, the next step is, which one of these fears is whispering to you right now? I invite you to ask yourself that question. Which one of these fears is saying something in your ear right now? Write it down. And you start to affirm it. Name it. Naming it isn't fear, isn't weakness. It's awareness. Thank you guys for joining. Hi. Yes. You have a LinkedIn user that says fear of failure. Very much so. All too common. And I want you to know, you're not alone. Naming all of those fears, knowing what you're fearful of, I want you to know that if you're fear of all of those fears that we just named, you're fearful of success, you're fearful of change, you're fearful of losing control, you're fearful of rejection, of being seen, of abandonment, of change, your fear of being judged, your fear of being lonely, all of those fears, you're not alone, my friend. Please know you're not alone. The person right next to you, if you had a stranger that just passed by you wherever you are, that person has fears as well. And possibly some of the same fears that you have. Okay? So don't think that you're alone, because you're not. Right? You're not going through that emotion, this emotion alone. So you name that fear, because naming it gives it it stops it from being in the shadows and it brings it out front. It brings it out front. When you name something or look something in the eye, what do you think happens? You are confronting it. So picture it in that way. When you name that fear, you are confronting that fear head on and you're letting it know, I see you. I know who you are. I know what it is that you are trying to tell me. And I am going to get to the bottom of this. That's what happens, right? When you have to face someone, when you have to be firm with someone and be direct, and you have to look them in the eye. Let them know that you're not scared of them. If you had bullies when you were growing up, that's what you have to do. You have to let that bully know that I see you, and I'm not going to stand here and allow you to continue to do what you're doing to me right now. That's what you have to do with fear. You have to face that fear. You have to name that fear, because naming it takes away its weakness, its strength. It's not weak to name it. you're giving it awareness. You're letting your conscious know, I see you, and I know what that fear is. I fear failure. So that means because I fear failure, I don't want to try this new job. I don't want to go into this next relationship. You name it. And now the next step is asking yourself that question. Once you know what that fear is, do I want to do anything about it? Right? You got to figure out, do you want to do anything about it? Because some people just want to stay where they are with that fear, and that's okay. I say all the time on my podcast, A Glimpse of Growth, if you love it and it's working for you, Dr. Dale loves it for you. You like it, Dr. Dale loves it for you. Okay? But if it's not working for you anymore, baby boy, baby girl, you're gonna have to name it, and you're gonna have to do something about it, which requires you to have action. Put some action behind that thought or this new revelation. So now, fear is often a protector, not a problem. So, but when we unmanage it, it becomes our identity. It's okay to have a little bit of fear, but if that fear is stopping you, if that fear is stopping you from pursuing your goals and from being that best version of yourself, then fear is a problem. That fear at this point in time, it's a problem, right? So for example, fear of success may really be fear of loneliness. It may really be fear of not wanting to leave a circle, right? Because these people have been good to you. You are safe here. Fear of being seen, it may be tied to your past rejections. Who rejected you that made you feel that fear? You have to unpack it if you want to do something about it, right? And this is why I love emotional intelligence so much, and I am gung-ho, as they say, for EQ, because emotional intelligence helps you to decode that fear. It helps you to dig it up with love and care, because fear be playing games and you don't want to see none of those ugly parts of yourself. EQ, emotional intelligence, allow you to dig it up by being a little curious, right? By showing a little bit of interest, right? Not being all sporadic and all out of the place with your emotional chaotic. No. It allows you to respond with intention, not avoidance. You don't want to avoid it, because the more you run away from that bully we call fear, the more it's going to continue to show its ugly head, and it's going to continue to direct your life. It's going to continue to show you who's boss. But you have to remind it, I'm the one in charge here. Me. Not you, me. When you name it, once you name it, you figure out, do you want to do anything about it? Now that you know that this is a fear for you, and once you figure out, do you want to do anything about it? Then step 2, you have to you have to decide and move it, pack it with some action, right? The next step is to put some action behind that realization now that you have, right? And so you invite it. You invite yourself. Which one of these fears is showing up for you, right? You name it and you let it know you're not scared of it. I'm no longer scared of being lonely. I may be alone at this point in time in this, in this house, but I don't have to feel lonely, because when I bring myself, there's a lot of people coming behind me. And I bring myself, a lot of people come to that party. Right? So you have that those are the steps. And then you so step one, name the fear. Right? Unpack what that fear is. Step two, once you start unpacking, you name it, you have to unpack it, right? Root versus reaction. You have to figure out, why is it, if you decide you want to do something about it, why is this showing up for me? Why am I uncomfortable about this fear? Right? And you got to really go deep here, right? You got to really go, and that involves you journaling, writing down, hey, you maybe for a few weeks, you start journaling every single time you get scared about, get fearful about doing something or going somewhere or being a part of something, and fear comes up, journal, right? Do that for like a week or two. And then once you see what that trend is, you can't tackle all those fears all at once because you may have more than one, right? You may have fear of rejection or fear of not wanting to change. A few of them may show up for you, so you have to decide, I'm going to focus on this most, prioritize your fears. Has anybody ever told you that? Prioritize your fear. Well, Dr. Dale said it. Prioritize your fear, and then you start working on them step by step, right? And those fears are pretty much your limiting beliefs, right? So you figure out, you name it, you figure out root versus reaction, which one, and then you start journaling and figuring out how what is showing up for you. And then last but not least, know that your dreams are on the other side of that fear. Fear is not the enemy. Disconnection from your dreams are. If you don't do something about whatever it is that you're fearful of, how long between now, today, and 5 years from now how far along are you going to be from not reaching your dreams, your goals, whatever they may be? And I hope you have them, right? So ask yourself, what dream is your fear trying to block right now? That's a question. When you start to reframe, that's step 3. When you start to reframe, what you can ask yourself, what dream is my fear trying to stop me from pursuing right now? If it's, and once you know what that is, then you go gun ho, and you do that. You do that labeling of it, right? You start writing down what that is, and then you slowly start decoding and do baby steps. Maybe you have a fear of, for example, you have a fear of speaking up in public, speaking up in a group. If you have your job 9 to 5, and speaking up in a meeting, maybe that's not your thing. Figure out why. When somebody asks you a question and it's more than 3 people in the group, you prefer to talk to the person one-on-one versus talking to the person in the group. I don't know, giving an example here. And maybe you don't have to don't go full force and want to speak in front of the entire team. Maybe that's not your thing right now. Maybe your thing is simply to, maybe even you go even smaller. You don't have to show up don't do it in person, do it online. When I was scared of speaking up in public settings at work, I was a yes person. Your girl, I was yes, 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 yes. That was me. Because if I said anything else, it would involve me having to explain and talk to people much longer in pub, in that group setting, and I didn't want that. Right? I was uncomfortable with that. So what your girl did is that um I knew that I wanted to grow. I used to be I was as a little girl, I used to, recite in church all the time and be out, I that was me. But somewhere along the way, I lost that. So I had to figure out for me, how do I get back there? Because that was a priority for me. I wanted to get back there, right? So how did I do that? I started putting myself in these spaces where I could first listen. I started putting myself in these groups. I would go to meetings and workshops and trainings, and I would listen to people talk. I did a lot of listening, and I'm still listening. You have to listen, right? So I put myself in spaces where I heard people speak and how they showed up and how they presented and what they shared and how vulnerable they were and how they didn't care if they made a mistake, and how their humanity just was on the stage, and I loved it. So the more I went to them, the more comfortable I got with speaking. I mean, with seeing them. And so one day, I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was getting ready. I was like, one of the rooms that I was in on gosh, I don't even remember the app right now. It was called Breakfast with Champions. I love that room. Oh, I can't remember the app. Why can't I remember the app? I don't remember the app, you guys. But anyways, I pumped myself up because they would give space to people, that anybody that wanted to come up and say something virtually, and they couldn't even see me. It was just they could hear me. But you see how your emotions and your fear can kick in? They can't see me, they can hear me, and that alone made me fearful. So I listened long enough. Now it was time for me to speak, because I decided I wanted to say something. I wanted to say good morning and simply thank you for this opportunity, and for all of you guys for sharing your story. That's all I wanted to say. And because I wanted to say that, it took so much out of me. I mean, my hands were trembling. I mean, they couldn't see me. They could only hear me. And because they could only hear me, that alone made me fearful. So you see how that emotion we call fear, it can show up in a very nasty way, in such a nasty way. But I was determined. Listen to what I said. I was determined to overcome it. Right? After listening for a long time, I've decided I'm going to do something about it. And I decided that I was going to finally show up. So now it's time for me to speak up. And I did. And I was like, whew, when I went back on mute, I was like, whew, why was I so fearful? It was nothing. It was nothing. My goodness, you guys. You can't don't let fear rule you. And we're getting ready to get out of here now. Don't let fear rule you. You let that fear, that bully know that you see it, that you clocked it. Let fear know that you clocked it, okay? And you will take charge. They were in charge before, but now you're taking the reins back. Okay, you're taking the reins back, and it's time for you to show up. Okay, so whatever and however fear is showing up for you today, Dr. Dale is saying it doesn't have to have the last call, the last say. You have the last say. So make that decision today. You make that decision today. Okay? Make that decision. Start journaling, start labeling, and start getting ahead of that fear, that emotion we call fear. Okay? This is great, you guys. Hello, TikTok people. How are you guys doing this morning? I am in the Eastern Standard Time. So I'm saying good morning, but wherever you are, good morning, good night, good evening. And I just was here to kind of share a little bit about fear and my experience on fear. And then how, you can't allow that emotion to rule you. You can't allow it. Don't allow it. Okay. And we kind of give some tips. Again, those tips is the first one is that you have to name it. The second one is that you have to unpack it and figure out why it is that you're fearing what you're fearing. And then you have to decide what it is that fear, what is it that fear is trying to stop you from doing? What dreams is it stopping you from pursuing? And then you have to decide, am I going to go down that road and do the work and stop fear from being the bully? Or are you going to continue to let fear rule you? Okay, and I gave some examples, and that's all we got, you guys. That's all, folks. Because emotions are human. Leadership is emotional. So why not start and end with emotional intelligence? So this has been a conversation with Dr. Dale. And this has been my podcast, A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. Yes, I'll see you guys back here next week, Wednesday. I'm here every Wednesday. I decided to add the TikTok crew today. I haven't done that. I've only been on live on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. So thank you guys. And I'll see you guys next week. Later, guys. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for being here and supporting this channel. If you enjoyed this episode and this content, it would mean a lot to me if you would take a few seconds to ensure you are subscribed to A Glimpse of Growth with Dr. Dale. Click the notification bell to receive notification. Share it with someone you think may need it. And let's continue to become more intelligent with our emotions. Thank you. See you later.